For most of the 20th century, the human psyche operated on a predictable sequence. You developed a linear identity, chose a stable career path, and oriented your life around objective truths, until it shatters. That system is currently failing. We are observing record levels of clinical anxiety, a collapse in sustained attention, and a widespread withdrawal from the traditional labor market. Conventional explanations focus on the surface noise, the addictive nature algorithms, or a perceived decline in work ethic. These theories treat the symptoms as the cause. A cross-disciplinary investigation suggests a deeper transition. By cross-referencing neuroplasticity data with existential psychiatry and historical cycles, we find a generation whose internal architecture has been rewired for a world where the old anchors have dissolved. These behaviors represent the first biological and psychological responses to a reality where progress is no longer linear and identity is perpetually precarious. The 2008 financial crash ended the assumption that hard work results in guaranteed security. For the cohort that grew up in its wake, the economic contract was replaced by a landscape of gig work and zero-hour contracts. This creates what R.D. Laing called ontological insecurity, the fear that one's very being could dissolve. In a gig economy where identity is as temporary as a rental agreement, Heidegger's concept of thrownness, being cast into a world without anchors, becomes a chronic state of dread. Older generations optimized for the hedonic treadmill, assuming status and material accumulation would eventually yield satisfaction. Gen Z is prioritizing Aristotle's eudaimonia, flourishing through purpose and virtue. Studies show their anterior cingulate cortex responds more strongly to meaning-aligned effort than simple material rewards, a rational survival strategy in a system where traditional ladders have broken. This makes quiet quitting a form of survival stoicism. They are withdrawing energy from a rigged game to preserve their internal coherence. The common accusation is that Gen Z has lost the ability to focus. However, the constant context switching of the digital environment has driven a cognitive mutation where fragmentation is the baseline of the self. This is dialectical attention. It's the ability to hold contradictory identities, like ironic detachment and genuine activism, simultaneously. They are synthesizing a unified self from pieces that earlier generations find incoherent. Growing up with algorithmic curation has forced the brain to prioritize the salience network, the system responsible for detecting what matters amid noise. While this heightens their ability to scan vast amounts of data, it comes at the cost of the sustained, linear narrative of the self. In a world of hyperreality, where facts are commodified and mediated, objective truth feels unreliable. Drawing on the post-structuralist view that reality is constructed, they have adapted to use emotional resonance, empathy, as their primary way of verifying the world. Parasocial attachments and cancel culture are tools for navigating an attention economy. They are using shared feelings to maintain group coherence in an environment where facts no longer provide a common ground. The chronic anxiety of this generation is written into their cellular biology. They have experienced a compressed timeline of collective trauma, from parental economic instability to the isolation of a global pandemic. This environment triggers epigenetic changes, chemical tags that tell genes how to express themselves. Stress from the 2008 crisis has left measurable methylation patterns on genes like FKBP5 and NR3C1, presetting the stress response of children before they are born. We see this pattern in survivors of the Dutch hunger winter, where extreme environmental stress left a physical imprint on the following generation. For Gen Z, this inherited vigilance is then amplified by the constant data stream of digital overload. Viewed through this biological lens, doom scrolling is not an addiction. It is a default state of hypervigilance, a brain locked into scanning for threats in a world it perceives as fundamentally fragile. Their profound chronic dread is an accurate biological reflection of the cycles of civilizational stress they have inherited and occupied. Generation Z is a necessary code update for the 21st century. Their psychology is optimized for a post-scarcity information world, defined by volatility and the collapse of traditional systems. Older generations continue to misdiagnose these adaptations as flaws. because they are using the metrics of a world that no longer exists. We are seeing the development of a more fluid, purpose-calibrated humanity. They are navigating a world of fragmented truth, with empathy as their primary compass. They are not a failed generation. They are the architects of a psychological architecture designed to survive the unknown century ahead.